Started the recording in case anybody wants to turn off their monitor or their camera. So I'm Thomas Garrison, to introduce myself, and over there on my left is Arthur Moorhead. He's probably on your right or someplace else wandering around. He's the co-host here. And he is the one responsible for finding part of what we're going to discuss today. He found a really good link about the information on keywords. Keywords in writing, which is all part of writing your content. And I'm going to put this link in, make sure I got the right spot here. Yes. So I'm going to first put that link in for everybody, and then I'm going to also send across the updated tools list because I've included that in the tools. So let's get down here. And I'll send that across to everybody, and the specific link is about 2/3 of the way through that list. It's called Great Information. So let me share my screen and we're going to touch on it. I don't want to get really deep into it because too much of it can be just that. There's so much that it kind of overwhelms everybody. Now, I will say, Arthur, you know a lot about this, and you found this. Would you like to share your opinion on it?
Well, the best. This it's about LSI keyword phrases, and I've talked about this before, but it's basically what this is it's going to show you where to find keyword phrases that are commonly used in the search engines. And to go really deep into it, it's you really need to read this article to understand it, because there's a lot to it, and this explains quite a bit.
But it is dumbed down pretty well so that you can run through it and just get a quick, even if you just run through the information, which is what I did the first time in looking at it. It makes a lot of sense. As you're searching in Google, when you do a search, you scroll down and you find this, I think there's usually like 6 related terms for whatever you search. That's specifically what they're talking about in this article. The sorry, I'll make sure to go back over here. The article is talking about the terms LSI without getting into all of what it's about, because Arthur's right. It's a lot. But if you just do a quick read first to get the basic information, what you're interested in your content is to have keyword terms that are also suggested by Google. So here's just an idea. Let's just search Google for the word suggestions. So if you go down in the list, I didn't have a chance to mute everybody.
Yeah, you gotta pull up a new window and use the search bar. Yeah, see right there, related searches.
Yeah, that's where I was getting to. I was also looking at who I could mute because I'm getting some feedback. Sorry.
Yeah, I mean, probably a better word to use would be like dog training instead of suggestions.
Okay.
Use see what's dropping down under that list.
Yeah.
Okay, go back.
If you're seeing
right there.
Stuff.
Yeah, you see all those keyword phrases. Those are things people are searching
And as you can see, a lot of them are terms that people are searching in my area. Even though I refuse to let Google know who I am or where I am, they check the IP address. So they're going, oh, well, you're in this area. So here are some local terms. So you have these local terms. Those are things that you want to put into your content. They may not be the specific keyword terms that you are looking for or that you're trying to target, but there are terms that are very relevant to what you're doing. And that's what Google is looking for. They want you to make sure that you use terms that are also like terms. I'm trying to do 5 things at once. There's similar terms to whatever that you're targeting. And if your site was about dog training, then obviously you'd want dog training near me or in local cities near you. I don't know the term Embark dog training, but apparently that's part of dog training or dog training at home. Cedarwood dog training, it happens to be somebody in specific around this area. Reactive dog training, puppy training. And then when you go down, you can see these similar terms down here in related searches. So those are also terms that you would put in either or. There are some that are the same and some that are different down here than they were in the top when you were first searching. So you can use them all. And those are keys to be able to write down because they're similar to your content and you want them in there. Part of the reason that Google is saying that they want you to use those terms is so it looks less spammy. So the more relevant terms that you're adding, related terms that you're adding to your text, the more real that your content looks. So it doesn't look like it was created by an AI or you had some marketing company person just type up a bunch of stuff with your keyword in it and drop it into your site. This is saying the more that you have related terms in there, the more real we believe your site is. And as Arthur was saying, when I was talking to him about this the other day, he's got sites that are still on page 1 in local searches because he did that very thing with them a long time ago. And I would like, because I know a lot of the people who are returning, as well as the new people, you got questions, and I believe that there are areas where you're stuck with writing the text. So before we log in or launch into a lot more information about what we're trying to get across to you, where are you stuck? That's what we need to know. Anybody? Nobody stuck? You all got perfect content? Anybody? No questions at all? Okay, so let me ask you guys a question then. Who can answer this? If you're writing your content, okay, well, David's got a question. So David, does the content need to be on the homepage? That is sort of a good question. It depends. Can you come online, David? Or would you rather use the rather use chat? There you go.
Yeah.
Okay. So when you mentioned the homepage, and there's a lot of misconception from most people about a homepage. Your homepage is not generally the page that's usually found in the search engines.
Okay.
So try to get that out of your head that I'm going to do all this stuff, make this great site, and it's my homepage that's going to be on the front page or going to be on the search results. That's not necessarily true.
I just want to confirm that because ours does not have a lot on our homepage.
Mhm.
So it's bound up in our other pages beyond that. So that's why I was just wanting to make sure that that was okay.
Generally,
Yeah,
go ahead, Arthur.
yeah, you want every page to rank. So you want your homepage is mainly a directory to your site. It tells when everybody lands on the site, tells where everything is. Okay, the content that's going to rank is the ones that's going to have pertinent information to your keyword terms and keyword phrases. So like your services, your about us, your blog posts and things, that nature. That's the content that's gonna you should focus on. That's gonna rank.
Okay.
And more to that same point, when you have a homepage, usually you've got, maybe your whole site is about dog training, but on that homepage, you're going, okay, but we also have puppy training. We've got senior dog training. We've got, all these different services that you're putting on the homepage. That's why your homepage almost never gets into the search engines as someplace that people find that link in the searches and go to your homepage. It's very uncommon. And every time that you search, whatever you search, verify that. Look and see, did the link that I just clicked on from this search, from these search results that I have, did I land on even one homepage? And chances are you're going to say no. Makes sense. So your landing pages are generally pages that are about one subject. Now, this is more directed at what you were asking, David. When you have one page about one subject, it's easier to get that page into the search results up high because that page is all about that one subject. And that's what Google's looking for too. The more things, the more subjects, or the more terms that you're trying to put on one page, that becomes, well, it's not as relevant as one of these other pages that talks about just that one subject. Does that make sense, David?
Yes. Thank you.
You're welcome. And John, you had your hand up.
Yeah, I was one of the things, and I just seen Arthur answered some of the question in the chat. There is one of the problems we run into is we use the words for how we consider. We're in freight. We do shipping, so we use the words of shipping and freight and our acronyms. And part of the problem that we're always running into, and I just had a meeting yesterday with our IT guys and trying to rebuild the website, is the idea of look for words that people use for shipping and freight, not just our term. The words that we use every day aren't the same words that people are looking to do what we do for them.
You just nailed it. You nailed it, John. That's true for everybody who has a website. They're convinced that I know my subject, I know the keywords for my term, for my content, so those are the keywords I'm going to use. You have to stop that. Even though you know your business that well, looking to see what people search related to your business is much more important than you knowing the related terms in your own head. Arthur, you had something to say?
No, I was answering the chat.
Oh, sorry. But the deal is, even if you're a dog trainer and you've been doing it for 30 years, your general first move is to, I know everything about dog training, so here's what I'm going to write. I don't need to search my keywords. I already know what they are. Don't do that. I don't care how many years you've been doing your business. I don't know your business, so I don't know the terms that you use in your business. So I'm going to search what I think is related to what your business is if I'm trying to find your business. It's so important to research your keyword terms before you add anything to your content, because people search differently for your services, your business, than you think they do. I hope that everybody's clear on that part. Research the keyword terms. So John, you nailed it. And in short, what you want to tell your IT guys is show me the research that you guys did on these terms. Show me how many people are searching those terms. And then tell them to go in and research keyword terms that are related to your work, your services, and see which ones have more people searching for them than the terms that you guys use. Does that make sense?
Yes, that was part of the discussion that we had with the IT guys, is to talk to other people to see what they use when they want to ship stuff or move stuff, compared to what we use in the business of just calling it freight, which majority of people don't consider moving product as shipping a freight.
Well, that's why you always want to do that research on the keyword terms. And that's what those guys are saying. We already, you've told us before that they just tell you, be quiet, go away. We know what we're doing. Well, it's obvious from the many times that you have come into our meetings that they know a lot, but they're not doing the homework.
Yeah, you
That's the
can,
part that you need to let them know. Do that homework.
and you can also use Google Search Console
Mhm.
to find those terms. Because Search Console is gonna, when you go in there and you look at your I can't remember the tab, but acquisitions, you look under acquisitions and you'll see what terms people are using to find your website.
I've got a couple. Sorry, go ahead.
Now,
Oh, okay. I got a couple things that I'm seeing here in the chat that I'd like to address. Government services. Bill was mentioning that, saying that he uses government services. But since you are getting flagged, that's already in my mind is going, government services are, let me see if I can find Bill here in the list of people.
well, what you have to find out first is what Google's flagging you for. If Google is flagging or penalizing you, they will send you a notification saying you're in violation.
Mhm.
If there's no violation, then if you're not getting any kind of notification for violation, then you're not getting flagged for anything. I mean, it's hard to answer that without knowing what it is, the situation that you're in. I mean, what are you getting flagged for?
Bill, can you answer that?
We're getting flagged when we use the words vehicle registration and sometimes even just US mail forward.
I can't hear him.
Yeah, can you get a little closer to your mic there, Bill?
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
So we're getting flagged when we use the words vehicle registration and sometimes US mail forwarding, which are two things that we do.
Okay, let's back up for a second.
I still can't hear him.
It's still a little muffled. Bill, what business, what's the name of the business first?
It's your best address.
Okay. And in general, not trying to use keyword terms, but in general, tell me the services that you provide.
So people make us their address. We serve RVers, travel nurses, people that move around a lot, digital nomads. And so what they do is they do a change of address from their home to us. And all their mail comes to us, and then we forward it out to them wherever they're at. And we also register their vehicles in the county that we are situated in. But Google is flagging vehicle registration and mail forwarding.
I still can't hear what he's saying.
Well, his services are kind of like the post office.
Right.
Because you're going to the post office to get a change of address, and you're going to the post office to do mail forwarding, any of those kinds of things. So he's offering similar services. And what I'm thinking of, and the reason that didn't respond right away is because I'm thinking that the keyword terms that you are using, I would say to use those as the LSI, use them as related terms and target different non-governmental issue terms, if you will. But what do people search to find your services? Not what do you think they search, what do they search? And that means that you need to do the keyword planner or some method that's exactly the same as the keyword planner so that you see what Google is saying. Here's how many people search this particular term. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So have you ever done a keyword search, keyword term search? Sorry, you got cut off. Was that a yes? Bill? Oh, your son usually handles that?
Right.
So find out from him the term, where he got the terms. Did he just come up with them or did he do the research? Either way, both of you ought to do that research on the keyword terms. Keyword terms are, just for fear of a different word, they're key to the success of your content. If those keyword terms aren't what people search, then you get stuff like what Google's doing to you, Bill. And as a matter of fact, did you get something from Google that specifically said that you've been sanctioned? Yeah. Microphone issue, I think. Oh, they stopped your AdWords campaigns.
Did they tell you why? I mean, did you get if they shut you down, then they didn't approve your ads for some reason? Yeah, something's not right with your ads if they shut down your campaigns.
Yeah, I think that, you know, if I were you, I'd lose, if you're specifically using that term government services.
No.
If you're using that anyway in your website or in your the ads for the AdWord campaigns, I would bet that Google is going to say, no, you're not a government site. You can't use that term.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and I see, you know, you're doing the same thing as the government US mail service, but vehicle registration would be a better thing to target rather than government services. In other words, the word government is what's getting you flagged. So you're saying we offer government services and the name of our business is your best address. And they look at your site, there's nothing about your site that says anything about being government. So that's when, so you don't use that word government services, that term. Google calls it government services when you're doing that. Okay, so do you use mail forwarding or vehicle registration without saying anything about the US mail or government? So you do use mail.
I think I'm understanding what he's saying now. He's looking for a workaround to use for, instead of using the keyword phrase government services, workaround for that. Well, for one thing, it's not try to work around what Google, their algorithms. I mean, that's tough, you know, and it could create even more problems.
Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, if you're trying to advertise government services, I'd have to do the research on that.
That's where I was gonna just say, Bill, you know the name of your competition, of the competitors who are at the top and not a US government site. That's what I'm getting to. Look at the terms they use. They're not a government site, so there is nothing stopping you from copying the keyword terms. You want to change your text overall, but you could still use the same terms that they use. Does that make sense, Bill?
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah, here, I'm gonna put a link in the ad policy for, see, Google, it says right here, Google will no longer allow ads for documents and or services that can be obtained directly from a government or delegated provider. Put that link in here.
it would seem to me
Dylan might have a good idea there. He's saying the national mail forwarding. That might be a good keyword term to use for a campaign.
so that's why it's so important to make sure that you do research, because you're going to find all kinds of terms that will keep you out of the exact term that the government uses. And I think that's where Google is standing. Well, you're not government. Why are you using the same terms that they are? So between using keyword research and looking at the competition to see what terms that they've used, that's going to help you tremendously.
I mean, Marinella, she might have an idea that, because she does a lot of content marketing and stuff. I think Farad has his hand up.
Yeah, I was just going to ask him, Farad, come on. Oh, let me get you to unmute.
I just did a word search on his website. He has 624 organic keywords that he's using. Some of them, as you guys are saying, are basically related to government, and that's an issue. Now, if he wants, I can basically run another report on him, show him the keywords that he can basically use on his website. And those keywords would be based on the keyword difficulty and how many people are searching for those keywords. So I can give him a list of all the keywords that would be useful for him.
That's very good. Would you like that, Bill?
Yes.
There you go.
Since I'm ambassador for Alignable, I'm gonna get connected with you, because I have a lot of connection, points every month. So I will connect with you, and then I'll contact you after that, so we can have a Zoom call, and we'll go over that with you.
My recommendation would be to do A/B testing. So before you launch into changing your site completely, select a couple of pages, either new or existing, and change the keywords you have there. And obviously, stay away from using government. Try to find something else. What else represents that idea? It could be public. That's one way of looking at it. See if there are others. You can also use ChatGPT for suggestions, or you can use the related keywords. Look at the results. Are any of your competitors showing up when you change the keyword?
Yeah.
And then go with those 2 pages, new ones, let's say new pages. Look at the density, even though it's not going to be as important as in the past, but you do need to repeat the unique keyword more than once in the content, and try to optimize it as much as you can. And then sit back and look at the analytics. And if it works, if you see that you're getting more traffic and conversions, then you can expand that approach to the rest of your website.
Yeah, he's having problems with his campaigns on his ads and using the keyword government in his ads. You know, so, but you know, I agree, you know, the A/B testing, you know, is a good way to go. And, you know, you made another good suggestion too, is using Chat GPT. I mean, that tool is amazing, you know, and, you know, you can find synonyms, acronyms, synonyms. I can't say that word, but, to help also.
I just threw a link into the chat for everybody, but specifically, Bill, you're asking, where do you look at the competition? Using Ranks NL, you can look up any website, any single page at a time.
Yes. Is that
And you
possible?
can use a free account and do, you're very limited with a free account, but you can still do that.
Both sides of the page. of a-
And you can also look at the entire site and page by page. If you have a, trying to think where I'm getting the feedback here. You have a link to
Could you
competition
on my cell phone? Because then I can take.
and a paid account, then you'd be able to look at that. Using Ranks NL, you can see any page of any website
Okay.
and look at all the SEO on that single page. So if you're ever in doubt or trying to figure out what's the competition doing, you can look up the competition. Put them into ranks. Today's not a day that we're normally doing ranks, but I can show you. Without telling you too much about ranks, I'll sign in and show you what you can do. And you don't need an expensive account. You can just use the cheapest one, which is like 25 bucks for 1 month. That's worth its weight in gold. Let's see. Buy all their security stuff. Okay, and just as an example, Bill, do you have the URL of your competition? Even one competitor?
You can find his competition by using SpyFu. Drop his link and you'll get, and it'll pull up his competition.
Another good tool to have. We need to put that one in. We'll drop this thing into the tools. That's good enough. I'm writing that one down.
The other thing is that the LSI keyword phrase link that Thomas had added to the list, there's a lot of good tools in that list that you can use for actually finding what your competitors are doing too. It's a really deep article, and I was really impressed with how deep it does go and how thorough it is.
I saw Barbara was asking where can we find the tools. I just put that into the chat again.
Yeah, did you put the link to that page
Yes.
in the chat? Okay.
Also added SpyFu to that. Just found that.
Yeah.
That was great. So add that.
Yes. SpyFu is a pretty cool tool, man. You can get a lot of information. Yeah, I mean, for the free, you don't get a lot, but for the price, you know, I mean, I think it's one of the better ones. You know, you get more information than like a lot of the other ones. So
Let me, I didn't get Bill to put a URL for his competition in there. Anybody have a competitor's site that we can use as an example? Just throw it in the chat if you do. Okay, traveling mailbox. I have no idea who it is or what it is, but it seems like it's relevant to Bill's situation. So let's see what Ranks has to say about this. Oh, I'll bet it is. They need more than just that. Let's see if it's a www. Ranks is very specific, so you need to know the exact address with the HTTPS and stuff. Okay, so here you go. Bill, if you're watching, we're seeing virtual mailbox, traveling mailbox, mail forwarding. And I see they're not very prominent with mail forward, but it's in there. Postal mail. So it's not post office, but you can see there are some things, mailbox for single mail scanning. And folks, so you know, Ranks is in the list of tools, and it's a very good tool because you can learn a tremendous amount about your competitor or about your own site.
Recording in progress.
Let's see. See if I can mute everybody to not get that feedback again. Okay. Now, if you just want to check out your own site, you can do that and see all your information as far as what is most prominent on the page, what kind of keyword terms. You may even see things that you go, oh, I didn't know I had that. They're package forwarding. So whether it's your competitors or your own site, Ranks NL is a great tool to have. And I just found out a lot of stuff for Bill. So we know, there you go, virtual mailbox. But you can find out about the domain. See they're hosted with Cloudflare. You can see if you've got any Google positions. I don't see anything on page 1, but there are a few pages back, mailboxforwarding.com. Anyway, use Ranks NL, and if you're making changes and you want to see the results quickly, right here is a refresh. So if you've made changes to your site, hit that button, it refreshes, and it shows you right now what change you just made. So you can see literally live what changes, what effect the change you made has on your SEO. Okay, enough with Ranks. Let's get back over to meeting at hand. Now, so questions. What questions have you got? I am sure that everything has become more with everybody. You've got more information. Whatever question you've got, we want to make sure that you understand how to write your content, where to get the best information to help you write your content.
If I may add something
Sure.
to your discussion,
Yes.
the keywords have 4 different types of intention, and those are also important. I don't know if you want to cover that later or not, but informational, navigational, commercial, and transactional. So the ones that are informational, that means that the user uses those keywords to come in to get some information in one of your pages, basically. Their intent is not to buy anything, to make a conversion. Navigational would be that they want specifically land in one of your pages. Again, their intention is not to buy anything from you. Commercial would be that if they want to compare you, for example, with somebody else's, they're ready to make that conversion, but they're not ready yet. And transactional is the type of keywords that they want to make a purchase, they want to make an appointment, or they want to use those services. So these 4 different types of intention is important. What type of keywords you're using or your content should have some sort of relationship that the traffic that comes in, what the intention of that traffic is to your website or that landing page.
Yeah, we'll have to, that's a whole nother discussion. We should have,
Well, yeah,
we should
but
have that.
if we're talking about the keywords, so that should be also emphasized that what type of keywords they should use for what intention they want to produce that content.
I'm being quiet because I'm trying to think of how that would affect, and it's the information is good. How to use that for the average person who has no clue what you said, because that's a lot of who our people are. They're not developers, so they're trying to think, well, I get that, but I'm not sure how that's going to help me. So that's probably
Well,
another whole meeting all in its.
That's where the help of somebody who has knowledgeable comes in handy. Because if you want to bring traffic to your site with the intention of selling something, you need to use those specific keywords.
And that makes complete sense. Thank you for that.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's a whole, like I said, that's a whole another discussion.
Whole
And
new,
we could spend hours on that. You know, and that's a good point, and we should probably have a discussion about that. I agree.
and you're absolutely right. Jennifer, you had your hand up.
I did, but you guys just said that you don't want to talk about it, so I put my hand back down.
You were going to ask about the 4 different types of keywords?
No, I was gonna jump further into that and say that in addition to thinking about your keywords in that realm of not just the right keywords, but what is the intent of the keywords,
Yeah.
matching the content so that the entire content is matching that same intent. So it's not
Yeah.
just putting it on, okay, am I picking the right types of keywords? That's one part of it. But if the voice and tone of the content is not matching the intent of the content, you get the traffic, but you don't get the conversion. You know, it just stops right there at the funnel. So I thought that he brought up a very interesting and relevant point that segues from keywords to actual content creation.
Good meeting today. I'm making notes. That's unusual for me. I'm making notes and adding things as we're having the meeting and updating the tools list. But thank you for that, Jennifer.
You're welcome.
The other thing is that, let's say I'm a car dealer in a city that there are a lot of car dealers there, and I create a blog, for example, for used car Toyota, and the person, the dealership, a couple of blocks away is also selling used car Toyotas, and he uses the same thing. So then Google is going to look at who has the authority and then uses that website, shows that website before shows my website if I don't have the authority, for example. So if I use the same keyword and somebody else uses the keyword, then it's going to be looking at who has the authority, and then that website is going to be ranking more than what I'm ranking.
Right. Now you're getting into EAT. EEAT now is what they call it, but yeah.
But the point I'm trying to say is not simply using some keywords. You have to look at different factors of it before you use those keywords.
Correct. That, I mean, we could have, we've had discussions on this already before, and we probably should repeat it again. That's the thing about these meetings is when you get new people, you have to repeat things over and over. You know, because we have had these discussions before. You know,
Well,
and
one thing that I think you guys should stress that we all discussed in an earlier meeting is that it has to start with strategy. And it should not just be in somebody's mind, whether that's the owner of the business or the marketing person or the SEO person. It should be documented. It can be done in just one page, although it's better if it's more detailed and you discuss not just the audience and segmentation, but also buyer personas, figure out the journey through the site from start to conversion or maintenance. In any case, it should be defined. Have draft the content strategy, meet with all the stakeholders, all the people involved in the decision making, as well as the operations person or persons, and then keep it as a living document so that you document what works, what doesn't, and every 3 months preferably, or at least once a year, look at what tactics worked, what didn't, what you want to adjust, and then update it for the next year.
Good information. I made notes about that too. So we'll have several meetings that are going to get into more specific information, but we'll break it up so that it is just about that. I want to get to a couple of people. First, Larry was asking, how do you understand the abbreviations and ranks? If you hold your mouse over one of the letters, it'll tell you what that is. So each letter says this, you know, T for title and H for heading. And so you just hold your mouse over those things, it'll tell you what that means. So that takes care of that. And there was something else. You had a microphone issue today, Arthur. I thought it was somebody else. Well, that does take care of that. Okay. Any other questions? No questions at all about questions on some of the things in the tools. Oh, I know what I was going to say. I saw somebody that Arthur was saying that your site was slow.
that was it was his competitor's website.
Oh, okay. So a competitor's website. anybody's website, your own specifically. One of the very first things that both Arthur and I do when somebody says, can you take a look at my site and tell me whatever question they're asking doesn't make any difference. For me, the first thing I'm going to do is look at their page speed. Mobile page speed is so important. You folks must use the speed tests. If a mobile device cannot get to your page, any page in particular, doesn't make any difference. If it cannot get to the page and use it in less than 3 seconds, they leave. Now, that is important for everybody. And you've got to look at how well your site is performing in speed before you can move to the next step. So if you're saying, well, I want to work on the text first, on the content, so I can get more traffic, missing the whole thing. If you had no text on the page, you'd have the same result of somebody coming to your site. They're just leaving because it didn't load fast enough. Make sure you test the page speed of every page in your site. The home page, which, like I was saying before, it usually has 2 or 3 different things related to each other, but they're different subjects. And that's why you have several things on that homepage. And one of the reasons that you usually don't have it in the search results for people to click on. The other thing is that it could be slower than a 10-year itch to get to that homepage. Because usually everybody's got all these fancy schmancy pictures and all this kind of stuff, and the page loads slow. You're not going to get anybody to read your information if you don't have the fast page. Now, I put the numbers in there in the tools list. So if you look about 2/3 of the way through, you'll see page speed / page load time. Even though that information looks like a bunch of gobbledygook, just run through it. And I've outlined FCP and LCP because when you see those things in the page speed test results, you're going to wonder, well, what's that mean? What's this mean? That's why I outlined that. Said that means this is important. These things are important. The other things are there, but what you're looking for is the speed overall. So that first number that comes up, if it's a 20 or a 50 or something, you got a lot of work to do. Forget the others. It's that very first one, the performance. If your performance is under 90, Google's saying, well, you're going to have to go do more work. Well, yeah, but wait a minute, my site's at 20. Yeah, that's why we're trying to get you to look at what your page speed is. Because if it's down that low, you're going to have to start throwing out pictures or whatever else is slowing down the page. We reached a point in the search engines that mobile devices are far superior to the desktop. They're more important. They have more authority than a desktop does these days. Generally speaking, Google has about 70% of all their searches are done on a mobile device. So if mobile devices can't get into your pages of your site, or because they're so slow to load, even though you get there and you look at your phone and you're going, yeah, mine loads in less than 3 seconds. No, that's not how you test it. Once you've been to a page, and whether it's a phone or a desktop, you've got that page cached, so it loads faster the next time that you come. Use the page speed insight. Use Lighthouse, one or the other, or both of them for that matter. Use those and find out exactly what your page speed is. And it has to be done before you spend so much time on your content and the keywords and all this other stuff. It's page speed, fast. Now you can move forward. Now you can deal with all the rest of the things, but it's really hard to go backwards. You got the whole site done. You've done all the research. You've got your content. Now you're going to have to go back because it loads at 40 or 50 or something. You're going to have to do something about that before people are going to be able to see all that good content you have.